Thune Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
We are officially on commit watch, Grayson Singleton. We have an OU-specific Hayes Fawcett tweet out there in the ether.
Hey, have we talked about how Hayes Fawcett just randomly decided to reveal his identity? Or reveal what he looked like?
Oh, you didn't know what he looked like?
No.
I mean, there are pictures floating around of him, like he's done interviews in the past. His identity wasn't a secret, but he does have his actual headshot as his Twitter avatar for the first time in recorded history now, as of last week.
Which I don't know if I like that. I want to go back to the OG Hayes Fawcett profile avatar.
I don't know if it's a personal branding thing or what, but yes, Hayes Fawcett tweeted out a Brent Venables gif earlier today, thereby indicating that an Oklahoma commitment is imminent, Mr. Singleton, and based on conversations with sources that I would consider well-placed on the matter, I expect that this evening we will have an announcement that goes in favor of the Sooners. Now, if I can refer you to the very first topic of discussion on yesterday's show, I think we can all pretty much figure who that announcement, or I should say, who is going to be making that announcement. Because let's review what happened yesterday. Yesterday, Emmett Jones posted a photo of the all-in poker chip that signifies a recruit's commitment to the University of Oklahoma. They turn in their poker chip. That's how they tell the OU staff they're committing. He posted a photo of the poker chip, and with it, the caption, Okie, arrow emoji, OU. Moments later, Xavier Okufulueze, the 3-star wide receiver from Rejoice Christian School up in Owasso, announced a long-anticipated offer from the University of Oklahoma. And now, a day later, we have Hayes teasing an imminent OU commitment. And as I mentioned, I am here to confirm that based on what I have heard, there is a decision in the works this evening. So, add all of the variables in the equation together, I think the expectation should be that Xavier Okufulueze is going to be a Sooner here pretty shortly.
Well, way to get that done, if you're Oklahoma. And, way to enter the party. And this was one that they didn't really feel the need to enter into the fray until they were sure that, okay, this is going to be a dude that's going to be productive at the University of Oklahoma. So, to me, there's not really much to read into here. He's a dude in-state. You finally are on the precipice of having an in-state commit for the first time in the 2026 class. So, good on them. And I will say this, man. It's interesting to me how long it took them, because I know he plays at Rejoice Christian. And he's not playing against, the prime talent in the state of Oklahoma. But 6'3", 195 is 6'3", 195. And especially if you know he's athletic and he can play, it is curious to me that while they're out here taking flyers on a guy like Matthew Nelson, who still has to really round into form as a football player, while you're taking flyers on other dudes whose tape doesn't thrill you or I to the most degree, it's interesting that this is the guy that they took the longest to really enter the picture for. But they did, and it looks like they're poised to get him.
Yeah, and look, he plays small school ball. It's his second year of organized football. He's a hooper. He did not start playing football until last season. And OU measured him on his visit this past weekend at 6'4", 198, so they have verified measurements on the kid. And that was less than 24 hours after he went for 11 catches, 236 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the very first game of his senior year. So, with where Oklahoma is at right now, at the wide receiver position, with the depth that they have on the current roster, the reality that only Deion Burks and Keontae Lewis are the only guys that are definitively departing the program at season's end because they will be out of eligibility. You have Daniel Odom on board as your only wide receiver commit of the cycle right now. And I would say things look pretty good with regard to OU's chances to flip Braden Allen, the 3-star Tulane commit. It's a really, really talented player down there in Louisiana. Odom and Braden Allen feel like two relatively safe bets, two guys that are going to be contributors perhaps quite early at the collegiate level. There's room, and this is kind of a natural juncture, to go and pursue an incredibly high-ceiling project. It's kind of the same conversation we were all having about Matthew Nelson back in June. At that time, OU was well on track to getting a commitment from Jake Krell, which they did. And the only real question otherwise was, well, we know it's going to be Daniel Norman or KJ Ford, or I forget who else was in the picture, but we knew Oklahoma was going to grab two relatively college-ready defensive end prospects, and in Krell's case, one really college-ready defensive end prospect. And so you had the margin, you had the leeway to be able to take a freak athlete without a ton of gridiron experience that could be a menace if developed properly later on down the line. That was why things heated up between OU and Matthew Nelson. That was why OU saw fit to take Nelson in their 2026 class. And I think we're having much the same conversation with regard to Zizi Okufelueze. With Daniel Odom on board and the potential of landing Braden Allen, in addition to the reality that Oklahoma does not yet have an in-state commit in the 2026 cycle, this allows you to hit the in-state quota. You got one, right? You got one, if indeed it is the Sooners tonight for ZZ. And also, he's somebody that, does he play in year one? Probably not. Does he play in year two? Maybe not. But you can pretty well figure that especially with the development he's going to get under the tutelage of Emmett Jones, year three rolls around, dude's going to start to make plays for Oklahoma.
Let me ask you this. At 6'4", 198, and it's pretty realistic to expect that he'll be around 205 by the time his freshman season at Oklahoma rolls around. Why are you so sure that he can't be a contributor by year two? Certainly not year one.
I think he could be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he could be. But generally, I operate under the expectation that most recruits, most prospects coming out of high school are going to take at least a year, even if they do look rather college ready, and in general, two, before they're ready to jump in and contribute in a major capacity. Rare are the guys that I will tout as day one, year one dudes. Because the situation also has to be right.
Yeah.
It's not just about what kind of talent do they have, what kind of ability do they have of their own accord. It's also about what does their immediate path to playing time look like. And so that's the reason why, for instance, Cortland Guillory was a guy that from a very early stage I touted as somebody that could get on the field in year one, because there was a window there at cornerback. Nobody save for Gentry Williams or Eli Bowen that's on the roster right now at Oklahoma has proven a ton at that position. But, and I caught some flack for this, and we'll see what happens, because maybe he is poised to do something here in year one. But even Michael Fasusi, Oklahoma's top signee, their only 5-star in last year's cycle. My take all offseason has been, I don't know that you see much of that kid in year one. I think that's probably a year two deal because of the depth chart at tackle and because of the reality that you don't see any rotation on the offensive line. It's the same 5 guys out there. Unless something goes wrong, you're looking at the same 5, snap in, snap out, all game, all season. And so obviously it's to Fasusi's benefit as far as getting the opportunity to be on the field that Jacob Sexton is now banged up. And he's got to, really all he's got to do is prove to be a more reliable option than Luke Baklenko. But I've never had much of an expectation that Fasusi was going to see the field a whole heck of a lot in year one. The guys I believed in that could get on the field and make a substantial impact from the jump, I believed in Guillory. I believed in Elijah Thomas, I think that was pretty much it. Like, Torrey Blaylock, I'll give that kid credit. Torrey Blaylock has come around way ahead of schedule. I did not see that coming. I thought the kid was going to redshirt. He showed up, and he's proven. Well, I don't know that he's proven. He's given us enough indications based on fall camp buzz and his week 1 performance that he is going to be a regular cog in the backfield throughout the season. A 580 listener wants to know, is Sexton going to play this week? That is not my expectation. I believe it will be Luke Buklenko starting at left tackle for Oklahoma on Saturday.
Let's talk about that. Does that in any way change your mind about the outlook of this game? Because to me, this is a game that's going to be won and lost dictated by the offensive line play for Oklahoma. If Oklahoma cannot get Michigan blocked up,
yep,
I don't really see a path to beating them unless they get a defensive score or something like that.
It does raise the concern level a little bit, because even though Buklenko did play well last weekend, and I shouted him out yesterday, one of the very first things I said when I came on air, hey, I was impressed with Luke Buklenko. I don't know how you can rewatch that game from Saturday and not be impressed with Luke Buklenko, but it was Illinois State. And so if he's the starting left tackle against Michigan, he put some stuff on tape against Illinois State that makes you optimistic that he's going to be able to hold his own. Am I confident that he's going to be able to hold his own? There's a difference between confident and optimistic. I'm optimistic. I wouldn't say I'm confident.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could be confident. He hasn't made a start at left tackle since his true freshman season at Stanford in 2023. And Michigan's defensive front is really, really good. Derek Moore and Oeda, 2 very talented defensive ends on that Michigan front. Now, that said, I know the immediate rejoinder to that, and I've seen it already on the message boards at OUinsider.com. I know we're going to get some of it on the text line. Well, why not just play Fasusi, right?
We've also have a question about Logan Howland at left tackle too, potentially.
Yeah, and I wasn't impressed with Logan Howland in week 1. He looked sloppy with his pass sets, man, and maybe it's that he's more natural at left tackle than right tackle, but I didn't see a lot on Saturday. Again, against an FCS opponent, mind you, that makes me believe, yeah, that guy's going to be able to block up those Michigan defensive ends. And so especially given that he's spent, the last 3 weeks, almost 4, repping pretty much exclusively at right tackle, I don't know that I feel super confident in that scenario.
Kind of takes him out of the picture.
Yeah.
At left especially.
And I know there are plenty of folks that are going to want to see Fasusi start. He's the 5-star. He's regarded as the future cornerstone of this offensive line at left tackle. And I'm not saying that's inaccurate. I'm not trying to take away from the specimen that he is, man. But he has yet to play a snap of college football. And so who knows? Maybe he does get thrown into the action against Michigan on Saturday, and maybe he performs really well. But even though he is a 5-star, do you really want to be in a situation where you are counting on a true freshman getting his very first taste of college football in any capacity to be the guy that's anchoring your offensive line at left tackle in an absolutely pivotal early season showdown? You just don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's the reason why, yes, I am more apprehensive with the knowledge that Jacob Sexton is going to be out of the game, or I'm sorry, not going to play, and is going to be unavailable for this game, is because you just don't know what you're going to get with Fasusi, and you don't really know what you're going to get with Buklenko either.
No, you really don't. But I do think the way Ben Arbuckle called the game on Saturday should give you a little bit of reprieve in this sense. They got the ball out of John Mateer's hands lightning quick. There weren't a whole heck of a lot of times where John Mateer was sitting back in the pocket. So if they can utilize that part of the game, obviously that neutralizes a pass rush and helps out your offensive line. Now, Michigan's got some really good corners as well, so it'll be up to the receivers to get some separation as well. But there are still ways that you can navigate around a deficiency on the offensive line. You just got to be able to execute it.
I talked about the reality that you don't see any rotation on the offensive line in general, and a 580 listener says, is Parker high with Gunny Bedenbaugh rotates linemen like Grayson does women.
The hell?
Wow. Maybe in a past life.
I was about to say, like, that is a little bit far off in the past.
The man's in a committed relationship now, folks. But
yeah,
look, ideally you're not rotating offensive linemen. Yes, they rotated offensive linemen quite a bit last week because it was the first game of the season and you had Sexton leaving mid-game with an injury, and it's Illinois State, so you feel like you can throw some different combinations out there, and you're not going to have to worry about the mixing and matching. But, like, you don't want to be going through the meat of your schedule in conference play, playing 7 or 8 different linemen in a given contest.
And I will throw this out here, too, again, and I know the offensive line is going to be mostly back together again. But I brought this up last year, and I was apprehensive about how the season went because of this. If the offensive line, if the 5 dudes don't spend significant amount of time both in practice and in games together, that can be a problem. Like, that can be a major red flag. And the last couple of weeks, what have we seen? Dudes in and out of practice, dudes in and out of the rotation, dudes being unavailable, and now your left tackle, who you thought was going to be the anchor of the offensive line, is down for this week, and you're sliding in dudes who didn't play last week. So keep an eye on that. That's not something that's to just gloss over.
Chris from Knoxville says, so long story short, there's a decent shot the line play will look ugly on Saturday. Awesome. Well, let me give you both sides of the coin here, Chris. One side of the coin is, yes, you're going to be operating without your starting left tackle in Jacob Sexton. That's obviously a pivotal position, and we have no idea, because I don't think Illinois State tells us much in this regard, how good Oklahoma's offensive line can actually be in 2025. We do not have enough data to make that judgment. However, the other side of the coin is that outside of left tackle, well, and consider this. I say this, and I'm checking myself midpoint, because Sexton did miss 2+ weeks of fall camp with well, I shouldn't say with a concussion. He was in concussion protocol. So the offensive line that you're going to see on Saturday could potentially, whether it's Fasusi or Baklenko at left tackle, you're going to see an offensive line, one way or another, that has had a substantial amount of practice time together as a unit. In Baklenko/Fasusi, Ozaida at left guard, Everett at center, Weewu at right guard, Derek Simmons at right tackle. That group has repped together on the practice field in fall camp on several occasions. So there's going to be some familiarity there for that unit. In response to your question, Chris, I don't know. Yeah, there is a chance offensive line play is a liability for Oklahoma on Saturday against Michigan. There's also the chance that line comes out and they take care of business. They open the lanes for Jaden Knott and they protect John Mateer, and Oklahoma's offense is humming all night long. It's just hard to predict when you have so little data as it is, and what data you do have came against an FCS opponent.
2-Star Jay in Tulsa said, Grayson's in a committed relationship at 23 years old. WTF, live, damn it. Play the freaking field.
Holy smokes.
Let me, first of all, wow. Second, I will say this. I played the field a little bit, and in recruiting terms, somebody came along and told me it was time to shut it down.
There you go.
And life has been better that way.
405-651-3439 is the Ktemple-Meyer Chevrolet text line. More of your texts, more OU football and recruiting talk ahead, because that's what we do here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans. Stay right here.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Join us September 5th for Gary Allen, along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks. There's something for everyone. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons.
This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Oklahoma.
The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative is making a difference in every corner of Oklahoma, working to prevent teen tobacco and vape use, fueling our minds and bodies through health education, and empowering the next generation of leaders. Why? Because we are the future of Oklahoma. The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative, investing in Oklahoma. Learn more at tsethealthyyouth.com. Brought to you by the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
I want you to imagine that you've planned a special evening with the woman of your dreams. You take her to dinner at her favorite restaurant. The lights are low. Her face is radiant in the glow of candlelight. You've just told her how much she means to you and that you want to be with her forever. You reach into your pocket and pull out a small blue box, and a breathtaking diamond engagement ring appears. In that moment of speechless surprise, you tell her it's from Lewis Jewelers because only the best is good enough for her. You've now imagined the perfect way to pop the question. Lewis Jewelers will help you turn it into a reality. You'll get a better diamond for your money, and you can choose from Oklahoma's largest inventory of styles, a truly remarkable selection. Lewis Jewelers on I-35 and more for the diamonds you will wear for a lifetime. Wouldn't you rather say it came from Lewis Jewelers?
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Do not take relationship advice from the Knippelmeyer
Nope.
Chevrolet text line, Grace.
Nope.
Don't do it.
Man, y'all are crazy. Who is it? Eric the Red says Grayson will be in the transfer portal next year.
Man, he's already speaking doom upon this
Hey,
relationship.
look,
What in the world?
Look, man. I already have anxiety on my own. Like I have been diagnosed with anxiety. I don't need you people up here saying that. And I have no plans.
You know what's good for
I have
anxiety?
no plans to enter the transfer portal.
You know what's good for anxiety?
What's that?
Gunny will let you know.
You know what? That you might be right.
Kyle from South Sauce says, Grayson, why have one when you could have 5? Don't listen to these people.
Let me tell you.
Shut
Let me tell you something. The life of a young broadcaster is hectic and busy. I do not have time, nor do I have the mental capacity to juggle 5.
Tattoo Baker said, Grayson's a poke, no chance for her to get a ring. Ooh.
Wow.
Dang, Tattoo Baker.
That is crazy.
Coming with the venom.
That's crazy.
Okay. 405.
I mean, granted, y'all ain't won one since I was born, so.
405-651.
Or her in that matter.
39. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Please text us with football questions. Relationship advice will largely be disregarded unless it's legitimately good advice. Most of it hasn't been so far. So as we continue to preview OU Michigan this weekend, it seems, and understandably so, as though everyone is most concerned about the offensive line because we all watched the 2024 football season together, and with the knowledge that Jacob Sexton is going to be unavailable for this football game, that creates I don't know if it concretely creates a weakness, it creates some uncertainty at left tackle. Luke Buklenko played pretty well at that spot on Saturday against Illinois State. He has not played left tackle or had not played left tackle since his true freshman year at Stanford in 2023. So it's either going to be Buklenko or Michael Fasusi that starts at that spot on Saturday. My expectation is that it'll be Buklenko right now. Fasusi is going to have to change the staff's mind on the practice field throughout the week. And certainly it is within his power. It is within his scope of ability to do so. But got 4 days. 4 days to change their minds. Now, this could also be a Caden Green type of situation, going back to 2023.
I
where
was
it's like,
just about to bring that up.
Yeah, you throw Buklenko in there as the starter, and then the very first hint you get that he might not be able to hold his own against the Michigan rushers, you just tell the 5-star freshman, hey, get in there and do your thing. And then you live or die with that decision, right? If it works, great. If it doesn't, at least you tried.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that was going to be my question to you. What sort of a leash is Luke Buklenko going to have? And also, before you answer that question, too, if we're talking like this, you know Luke Buklenko in the back of his mind has to be able to settle his own mind down because he knows that he now is in the process not just of trying to play himself onto the field, but he's trying to hold off a dude that everybody wants on the field. Everybody is going to be itching to see what the 5-star true freshman Michael Fasusi can do on the field. So it's going to be a mental battle this entire week and going into Saturday for Luke Buklenko because he knows, man, if I screw something up one, 2, 3 times, that leash could be pretty quick because everybody's going to be murmuring now for Michael Fasusi. But, you know, to ask you, in light of the Caden Green situation from a couple of years ago, how short is the leash going to be for a guy like Buklenko?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think he'll probably get at least a quarter, right? Like, I don't know. Unless it's bad, I don't know that you're pulling the plug on the Buklenko experiment in the first quarter.
Oh, no.
I think if Oklahoma is struggling to protect John Mateer in particular, if Buklenko is struggling to protect John Mateer, I think that's where you make the pivot to Fasusi. Because that's why the left tackle position is so important. He's protecting the quarterback's blind side.
Yep.
And so if Buklenko isn't holding up in that regard, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not necessarily of the expectation that Oklahoma runs the ball with tremendous effectiveness on Saturday night. I think they're going to have to get most of what they get through the air offensively. And I say that with the obvious disclaimer, as I mentioned last segment, that we just don't really know what this offensive line is going to look like because we will not have seen these 5 guys that are going to trot out there as starters in conjunction as a unit yet. So maybe they come out and they're getting the push on every single snap against this Michigan front 4. And Jaden Knott's having a real easy time finding lanes to run the football through. But if I'm just gauging based off what I saw this past weekend against Illinois State, I don't know how you can come into this Michigan game with the expectation. You can certainly come in with the hope that Oklahoma runs the ball effectively. I don't know how you can come in with the expectation that Oklahoma is going to be getting 5 yards a carry against Michigan.
And to that point, what you're now going to have to guard against is becoming one-dimensional. Because if you are down a tackle, and keep this in mind, even though Derek Simmons is a very more than quality tackle, he has been on the shelf recently. So is he still kind of a little green when he takes his first couple of snaps, first couple of drives in an OU uniform? And if you become one-dimensional, what that can do is that it can really leave your tackles on an island, especially a backup tackle that you're probably going to have on the left side, which means those pass rushers can start to really pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. So what you want to guard against is becoming predictable if you know, hey, this ain't going to be our night running the football.
Frisco Sooner says OU had 103 yards rushing on 32 carries. That's 3.21 yards per carry against an FCS team. That is horrible. They should have had a minimum of 250 yards rushing. Guys, I'm looking at the writing on the wall. Unless there is a miracle-like performance from that line on Saturday night, the Sooners are in trouble. Frisco Sooner, yes and no. You are correct in the sense that you ought to be less confident in Oklahoma's ability to win this football game based on the play of their offensive line last Saturday. That should give you pause. But also, it's a much bigger concern if we're talking about the Oklahoma Sooners of 2017 or 2019 or 2021 even. Oklahoma may not need to score more than 20 points to win this football game because of how solid the defense is going to be and should play against a true freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood, and this Michigan offense. This defense is capable of holding serve and giving you a chance even if you're not firing on all cylinders offensively. So, can Oklahoma beat Michigan even if their offensive line play isn't up to snuff? Absolutely they can. Will it be pretty? Maybe not. But they can still absolutely go and win a football game. Because they now have two distinct units that can win a game as opposed to simply not losing a game for you.
If their offensive line is a handicap, and by they I mean Oklahoma, if Oklahoma's offensive line is a handicap in this weekend's game, the defense will have to pitch a game that is akin to 8 innings of one run ball.
Yep.
That is an enormous amount of pressure on the defense, and that's when we start hearkening back to our topics of conversation from last year. The lack of complementary football. Eventually a defense breaks. You keep putting them in disadvantageous situation. Like, the offensive line here for Oklahoma, if I haven't made my thoughts on this clear enough, the offensive line is the X factor here. And I think it's more than X factor. It might be what allows Oklahoma to stay in the game and ultimately win it, or completely handcuff its offense to where you better hope the defense gives up no more than 10, 13 points. Otherwise, you're going to lose the game. And it's going to look very ugly.
Dan in Madison, Mississippi says, I'm kind of confused. All spring and fall, we heard it was a battle between Sexton and Fasusi at left tackle. Now we're hearing he may be behind the other dude? Did his challenge in the heat cause him to lose ground that much? Fasusi missed the better part of a week of practice, and okay, that certainly didn't help his cause. But I also think, Dan, part of the reason why we're having this conversation is because Baklenko went and played well on a Saturday. He got that opportunity this past Saturday because OU chose to hold Fasusi out in the aftermath of the episode that he had on the practice field the previous week. And so this time of year in particular, once the season starts, what happens on Saturdays supersedes what happens on the practice field. For instance, if I were to convince you, or if you were to take Brent Venables' word for it, that Javonte Barnes just had his best fall camp of his career at Oklahoma, I guarantee you wouldn't want Javonte Barnes to be trotting out there with the first-teamers on Saturday over Jaden Ott, because what did you see with your own two eyes this past Saturday?
Something very different.
Correct. What happens on Saturdays supersedes what happens on the practice field. And so, yes, Fasusi did have a really strong camp up until his, whatever you want to call it, heat exhaustion episode. But the reality of the present is that Luke Baklenko might have played better than any offensive lineman that Oklahoma put out there on Saturday, and that matters. That carries a lot of weight.
What do you think about the interior of the offensive line?
It was ho-hum. Like, Ryan Foje looked like a freshman.
Yeah, he did. Now, he did some good things.
He did.
He had a couple of reps where I noticed from where I was sitting in the stadium. I was like, oh, that looked good. But there were also times where it was like, ooh.
Yeah, he's just kind of lost, especially when he's pulling.
Yes, 100%.
So, yeah, he looked like a freshman. He looked like a guy that's still got a lot to learn, which is fine because guess what? He is a freshman. So he doesn't have to have it all together. Febechi Wiwu is what Febechi Wiwu is. He's solid. Like, I don't know that he's elite. I don't know that he ever will be elite at the collegiate level. But he gets the job done.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, that's really all you can ask for. Troy Everett,
that's where I wanted you to go with this.
I don't know, man. Like, he's one of those guys, and maybe you can throw him in the same category as Barnes. I'm not saying he was as bad as Barnes was on Saturday because Javonte Barnes was just bad. And I say that as somebody that loves Javonte Barnes. He didn't play well.
No.
But is Everett the type of guy that for all he is as a leader and a positive locker room influence just isn't much of a difference maker on the football field at center? Now, I'm not making that judgment definitively until we see more than one game's worth of data and tape from Troy Everett. But I know, like, it's been a very hotly contested point of conversation, even within the program, throughout the offseason and especially throughout fall camp, as to which guy offers Oklahoma the better chance to win football games at center, Troy Everett or Jake Michaela. Much has been made, more than I thought, amongst the media contingent, of the fact that Jake Michaela was made available last night for post-practice interview sessions. Generally, that's not something that you see from second-teamers.
Especially a second-team center.
Yeah, generally, if that's the case, that means the guy's going to play. Either he did play quite a bit the previous week, which wasn't really the case for Michaela. He saw a couple drives, that was it. Or he's going to play a lot this coming week. So, man, it's a predicament. And obviously, neither Everett or Michaela has really, really separated to this point. I think Everett naturally is going to get the benefit of the doubt because he is a senior and he has been with this program for going on 3 seasons now, as opposed to Michaela, who's been here for 3 months. But that's something I'll be watching, man. That's something I'll be watching. Kind of like Baklenko, Michaela is a guy that, to a certain extent, you can fall back on if Troy Everett isn't holding up. If he's not performing up to par in the Michigan game, I don't know that Bill Bedenbaugh and the offensive staff will have any reservations about telling Jake Michaela, hey, get out there and play center. Because why would you? He started at all 3 interior positions over the course of his college career and played pretty well at Stanford. All right, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. More of your texts, more OU football and recruiting talk on the way. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is the Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Sidelined by injury, illness, surgery? Valor Physical Therapy and H2 Health Company can help. A 10-time Community Choice Award winner, let our skilled therapists create a rehabilitation program individualized just for you. Whether it's sports or the activities of life, let Valor get you back in the game. Start now at valorpt.com or call 405-609-3637. No referral needed. Mention the Ref and get a free t-shirt at your first appointment.
This is Jake Aldridge, partner at Aldridge Teasdale. We know accidents happen when you least expect them, but if you're injured, your path to recovery and justice starts with the right attorney by your side. At Aldridge Teasdale, we understand that every injury is personal and that every story matters. You deserve an advocate who will fight for you. But don't wait. If you need medical assistance, you need to get it now, and we can help you with access to the best doctors in Oklahoma. Call Aldridge Teasdale today, 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
September 7th is Build-A-Bear Workshop Day at Busch Stadium, and we're celebrating with a very special giveaway. On Sunday, September 7th, kids 15 and younger with the paid admission receive a free Cardinals furry friend, courtesy of Build-A-Bear Workshop. This adorable Cardinals-themed plush is perfect for watching the game together. Plus, don't forget to knock it out of the park at Build-A-Bear Workshop, located in Ford Plaza here at Busch Stadium. Find the stuff you love at Build-A-Bear Workshop and go Cards.
Support United Way of Norman and local businesses by shopping United on September 10th. Shop United is a powerful way to bring our community together. On this day, local businesses across Norman will donate a portion of their sales to United Way of Norman, supporting vital programs in our community. Shop with a purpose on September 10th at such businesses as Cayman's, Christmas Expression, Cadoodles, Mitchell's Jewelry, Norman Stamp and Seal, Sooner Bowling, and Wonder House Design and Consign, plus many others. Check out the United Way of Norman on Facebook or their website for a complete list of participating businesses.
Want to have fun and support a great cause? Well, dust off your boots for Big Brothers Big Sisters inaugural Nashville fundraiser. Join us for the best bites from around town, good drinks, and the sounds of Nashville. All the fun happens on September 12th at Embassy Suites in Norman. To be a Nashville sponsor, buy tickets or make a donation, visit normangala.org. We hope to see you in your country chic attire for tasty eats and cool beats, and it all supports Big Brothers Big Sisters, which provides life-changing mentorships for children. And remember, it takes little to be a big.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Hanging with you here on Locked In. It is the Ref, the home of Sooner fans, Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton. This hour of programming brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Hey, if you're looking for a new vehicle to get you around during football season, why not a GMC? GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the market today. Dorsey Jones has you covered. Low-pressure sales environment, friendly sales execs, friendly service technicians as well that offer half-price oil changes on Saturdays, if that moves the needle for you at all. So need an oil change? Dorsey Jones has you covered at half price every single Saturday. Head out to El Reno, check out Dorsey Jones. Matt from Moore on the text line. Interesting text. One thing gives me hope for this weekend. If you go back to 2015, and if you look at the box score against Akron, it is almost identical to the box score from last Saturday. Baker's first game with Mixon and P. Ryan in the backfield, and that offense ended up being pretty good. That they did. But they only rushed for like 120 yards against Akron. The halftime score was 17-3. That gives me hope for this weekend. What did they do in the very next game after Akron? They went to Knoxville and beat Tennessee. They did. Not before spotting Tennessee a 17-0 second half lead, though. Now, I was too young and not chronically online enough at that point to remember what OU Twitter looked like while OU was in Neyland Stadium trailing 17-0 to the Volunteers. I can't imagine it was a very pleasant place to be. So I would say for everyone's good, maybe don't spot Michigan 17 points to start the game on Saturday. I think everybody would be most pleased if that did not occur. But yeah, I mean, look, week one can lie 1,000 different ways, which is why I don't put a ton of stock into what happens in week one unless it's just really, truly, objectively bad. For instance, Javonte Barnes as a senior, as the head honcho in the running back room, at least for week 1, man, I don't care what the offensive line play is. Looks like you got to be able to go for more than 9 yards on 7 carries.
Yeah. And keep this in mind, too. In our show today, we haven't taken a whole heck of a lot from the game against Illinois State.
No, because you can't.
You know we've talked about? How it's going to look because dudes aren't going to be there. And I'll tell you what, I think there is more from this game this past weekend that you can take. You can take from this game that John Mateer looks in command and on time with the offense. Like, that you can tell. That probably, and look, I don't want to take anything away from Isaiah Satania. I don't want to take anything away from Keontez Lewis, but they were running butt naked open. I mean, through a coverage that was not good. Now, I would like to think that they're going to be really good players against quality competition, but we don't know. Everything else that we've taken away from this game was the offensive line didn't move anybody, and there were times that the defensive line got moved backwards and out of gaps. So, I mean, we're still almost in a situation where we're still projecting everything.
Yeah.
And it's a dicey spot to be in going up against Michigan, especially with the one thing that we know is that the running back that looked the best ain't going to be able to play, and the running back that you think is the best has had a dicey last couple of weeks of camp leading up to the season.
Here's a big question I have going into this Michigan game, because I don't know that we know the answer yet, obviously. Think this is the week where we will start to find out. How good is Ben Arbuckle, truly, at scheming guys open? What kind of concepts, what kind of bells and whistles can he bring to the table to create opportunities, to create space, to create separation for his wide receivers? Because the Sooners do have a bunch of guys in that room that are good at creating separation naturally. Deion Burks is a phenomenal example of that. Like, he's just a very hard guy to guard man-to-man. But what can Ben Arbuckle bring to the table as the architect of this Oklahoma offense in order to create additional space for receivers, in order to create room for guys to run after the catch, to turn short and intermediate gains into chunk plays? I expect, and I know for a fact, I've said this before, Oklahoma has been game planning for Michigan for months. The staff has put a ton of preparation into this game plan, particularly on the offensive side of the football. So what does that look like, man? What kind of nuance are we going to see from Arbuckle's play calling? It's going to be a very, very exciting storyline for me to track on Saturday evening.
But I think it could morph into something they otherwise didn't think it would have to be if the offensive line isn't up to snuff. They're going to have to do a lot less of the later developing routes, which J-Dub texted this in that I wasn't watching the same game. I'm aware that they had a lot of long developing routes. But he's going to have to go back to a lot of what he started the game off with the quick hitters, getting the ball out of Mateer's hand. Because if the offensive line isn't going to be able to hold up, you're not going to be able to just drop back 5-7 steps all night.
Krabby Sooner on the text line. I think this is pertinent to Fasusi. Says, I had a heat stroke and was out mowing yards the next day. Krabby Sooner, all due respect to you, but if you gave me the option between mowing yards and playing left tackle against the University of Michigan, I will choose to mow yards. One seems a little less strenuous and stressful than the other.
Yeah.
Randy from Miami. Miami or Miami? The number's from Kansas. I'm going to assume this is Randy from Miami. He says, Barnes definitely had bad stats, but Xavier had 8 carries for 17 yards. Common denominator, awful O-line in the run game. Well, okay, fair point, but there's a counterpoint, and the counterpoint is Torrey Blaylock. Torrey Blaylock had 8 carries for 44 yards.
But what if the way Torrey ran bailed out the offensive line? I'm not saying that as a fact. I'm just putting that out there as a hypothetical.
Elaborate a little bit, if you will.
Like, what if he just saw the slivers of creases and was like, I'm going to go hit these, and it made the offensive line look a little bit better because he's one of 3 dudes that got substantial carries, and he's the only one And look, maybe it's just, hey, Torrey Blaylock's the better of the three. Maybe that's the case. But running backs sometimes can make their offensive line look good, and running backs can sometimes make their offensive lines look worse than they actually are.
And Xavier Robinson had the type of day on Saturday where it's like, okay, I don't really know what to think of that. I don't think any more of Xavier Robinson. I don't think any less of Xavier Robinson based on his performance. Because he also just got 2 meaningless carries at the end of the game when nobody was really trying at that point. They were running clock, and that probably dragged down his average a little bit. But I will say this about Torrey Blaylock, man. He runs with a sense of decisiveness and authority that is a refreshing change of pace. By the way, let's circle back around to recruiting here, because there is one particular nugget, one storyline that has lingered now for months that is of particular interest this weekend. It is expected, read expected, not certain by any means, but expected. I don't think that these things are ever certain until the dude steps foot on campus. It is expected that Oklahoma is going to have 4-star defensive end and Florida commit KJ Ford on campus for this football game this weekend. KJ Ford from Duncanville High School down in Texas, a school that Oklahoma notoriously has had very little success recruiting. Their only Duncanville signee of the last decade, Savion Byrd, who obviously did not finish his college career out at the University of Oklahoma.
And did not look good this weekend for SMU either.
I did not watch the SMU game, but I know you did, so I will take your word for it.
I did, and it was ugh.
So this is a big opportunity for Oklahoma to make a statement to KJ Ford. And KJ Ford, to me, and we've talked about this quite a bit at OUinsider.com, he is one of those guys that understandably feels like he has to see it. And that's always been his perspective. That's always been his perspective on Oklahoma throughout really the entire calendar year, ever since the 2024 season wrapped up. He's been kind of in the headspace where he feels like he has to see what the product looks like in 2025 before he can make a concrete decision as to whether he's going to jump into the boat with both feet and be an Oklahoma Sooner. For the moment, he's committed to the Gators. Now, does this game alone provide an adequate reason for KJ Ford to flip his commitment if Oklahoma wins? I would caution against that expectation. But you go beat Michigan, man, it certainly sends the arrow trending upward. All right, for those of you that have recruited on College Football 26, the gap grows smaller between Florida and Oklahoma at that point.
Oh, it definitely does. Great analogy by you, by the way. But no, I mean, the reality of this game is because of the dudes that are going to be there and present, you've got to put up a good showing. You got to win the game. And if you do, you can reap some rewards for it. And those rewards could be that your program looks like it's better set up in 2027 and 2028. You got to go win this game. Even if you lose it, put on a good showing and it might work out for you. Just, you can't get your ass kicked.
A 580 listener says, wait, so KJ wants to see OU's product, but he's down with Florida's? My response to that would be, let's be completely candid here. Who is on a hotter seat right now? Brent Venables or Billy Napier?
Probably Brent Venables. Even though this time last year it was Billy Napier.
This time last year it absolutely was Billy Napier. I mean, it was a DEFCON 1 type of
exactly
alarm level down in Gainesville. But to Napier's credit, he stabilized things. DJ Lagway in many ways saved his job.
Yeah.
And he's the face of the program for at least the next 2 seasons down there in Gainesville. And he's given the Gators something to rally around, something to feel good about, something to believe in. And so, man, there is a little bit more security right now at Florida than there is at Oklahoma. That doesn't necessarily mean there is immense security at Florida. Like if Florida crashes and burns, KJ Ford won't sign with the Gators. But for the moment, you can have a little bit more confidence. If you're just looking at this completely neutrally from KJ Ford's own headspace, you can have a little bit more confidence right now committing to Florida than you can for Oklahoma. And again, a commitment is a commitment. What matters more than anything else is whose letter of intent you sign on National Signing Day. And there is still very much a chance that the one KJ Ford signs has a crimson O and U interlocked at the top. Okay, folks. That brings us to the finish line on this Tuesday installment of Locked In. Thanks for hanging with us today. It's been fun. It always is. The Rush is coming up next. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman will take you all the way home from the workday till 6 p.m. Those two have 3 more hours of OU sports talk coming up next. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. We'll do it all again tomorrow. We'll see you then. Take it easy.